Okay, welcome Merrimack. This is the MVD meeting for September 19, 2022, and I'll call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Public participation is offered by webinar, and you can join the webinar by going to the mvdwater.org website and downloading today's agenda for today's meeting, or you can call, that agenda has a web link that you can click on, or you can call 646-876-9923, enter the webinar ID 842-3295-2105. And as a courtesy, Merrimack TV's recording the meeting will be posted on their website at a later date and on typically on channel 20 at some point. So I'd like to first start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we can all rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll do a roll call. I know Paul McLaughlin has been excused for the evening tonight. So it looks like we've got a quorum of 3 in the room with John Lyons, Ken Ayers, and Wolf Von Sean. I'm Don Provencher, I'm the chair. I'll be running the meeting. I am down in the Holiday Vacation Condos at 488 Route 28 in West Yarmouth, Mass. So that being said, the first item on the agenda here is the Finance and Human Resource Review with Michelle Holton. And she'll be talking about analysis of revenue and expenditures report. You can take it from here, Michelle.
Okay, thank you. The June 30th numbers are the final numbers against budget. And we came in with all our water revenue accounts coming in about 104% of budget, resulting in the overall revenue at 113.21% of budget. The expense accounts came in at 90.16 of budget, and our net ordinary income is a little over $1 million, and that is $426,000 above the same time last year. In the expense explanations, I realized something caused a couple of the explanations to get truncated in an odd way. So I just wanted to provide clarification there. It would be page 1 of the expense budget versus actual that has all the explanations listed. For account 50500, the health insurance, potential plan changes were not realized, so our final cost was $94,000 under budget, was the full explanation there. Electricity, account 60000, we're only using 1 well right now and using the Pennachuck water, so that in part explains the electricity being down. And the same explanation for account 60600 chemicals, since we are not using all the wells and using the Pennachuck water, that came in lower than expected. And the last one was account 70000 tools and equipment. We were over budget, but we had replaced various tools, electrical lead tester, generator, metal detectors, and saws. So those were the 4 that the explanations were adjusted. Did anyone have any questions on any of the other expense line items and the accompanying explanations?
The only one I would have is on the current budget. I'm not sure what methodology you use to develop that, but if you're using historical, with the electricity being so much lower than we'd expect this year, are we going to have a lower lower number than we want in the budget for next year.
Well, we've already. Well, it depends on, it was lower because of the Penachuk situation. This year, I don't know if we've ironed out timing of how long the Penachuk.
Well, at least.
Use of
until-
water.
Well, at least until we get, well, to plant online, so.
So it might be the same thing over the course of the year. Anyways,
Yeah, we just have to.
Okay.
Evaluate if we're gonna be in the same situation.
Okay.
Next year, as far as. It actually should be different. We should have, I'm not sure what's,
Well, we
Going
we
on
had to
with-
go through a period where we didn't have to turn the interconnect because we had 7 and 8 and 4 and 5 online. And then we had to get to that point where we shut down 7 and 8 for the backwashing and all of that. Phrase that. We actually were running interconnect in 4 and 5, we were doing fine, and then we were able to get 4, 7, and 8 back online. So we should be able to, if we have the same numbers, we're gonna have 7 and 8 in 4 and 5. We should be able to shut down the interconnect off and just run those 4 wells. It'll work out even better when we get well 2 online, but
I'm just thinking as we get back to normal, where we're running all the wells, the electric's gonna go back up, plus the rates have gone up, so.
well, we were able to lock in rates for 3 years with the
Wow.
broker.
That's
So yes, we,
nice.
yeah, we were very, very fortunate.
Good.
There's a lot of municipalities were scrambling around in the late summer.
2 years left on that contract.
Yes.
Great.
Account 60650 filtration PFAS. I think I made that comment last time. If that comment makes it out to the world, we're gonna be in trouble.
Okay.
The comment here says 4 and 5 TAC filters lasting longer than anticipated. They certainly did not last longer, right?
Okay.
Because the short chains have been breaking through very, very much sooner than we hoped. And B, they're only longer in place right now because we want to see how much we can saturate the filters with regulated PFAS, right?
Actually, we're the warranty didn't last. We had breakthrough sooner
Right.
for the bed volumes and
Right.
so.
So I think that
we'll work
So-
through that.
I think the wording here ought to be something that basically the timing of the wells for 4 and 5 TAC filters, media replenishment, is later than anticipated, but not because they lasted longer, but because we timed it differently for a number of reasons,
Okay.
right? So I know it's nitpicking, but if anybody, like a lawyer or something that's gonna want to see why we claim more operating costs and maintenance costs than we thought we would, and meets that line, they're gonna certainly use that to their advantage.
Update that to reflect more accurate explanation.
And if you don't mind, please confirming that to me by email or
Yes,
to us,
I can-
not to
yeah, I
me,
can
not to,
send-
I'm sorry, not to me, to the board. Just because we had talked about it last time. And I know it's a lot of info, so it's easy to miss.
All right, any other questions from anyone on that?
And the audit of the financials fieldwork has been completed, and our goal, with the auditors, is to aim for getting the complete audit by the end of November. So we were able, this year versus last year, we were able to get through most everything that they needed while they were here versus afterwards. Last year, we had to kind of go back and forth, and when everyone gets back into their regular routine and schedules, it can tend to make things take a bit longer versus when they're here and they have the time to focus most solely on us. So that is the plan for FY '22. And the August financials through August. We're just 2 months in to the year, so we're 16.67% fiscal year. All the main water revenue accounts coming in about 16% of budget, resulting in the overall revenue at the end of August being 21.3% of budget. Expense accounts are coming in at 18.2% of budget. And our net ordinary income was at 147,000, which was 81,000 above the same time last year. The first Penachuk water invoice did go against line 60300 purchase of water, because we did have the 25,000 budget in there on for the remainder of this year.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. The first Penachuk invoice did go against 60300 purchase of water. We did have the 25,000 budget. The remaining, what we had done last year was we had put them below the line. Then at the end of the year, did an assessment and moved them up once we knew our standing.
Yes.
Are we wanting to follow that same?
I would say the same thing.
Okay, so do you want
If
to
we
leave
covered under the
that?
budget, we
Okay,
do that as well.
okay, so future Penachuk invoices will be below the net ordinary income. And for particular line items, we already mentioned the purchase of water, 60225. Our education and seminars is at 25.87% of budget, and that's just timing of when people are scheduling their trainings. We have some new folks, so they're getting on training right away. And 60500 motor vehicle maintenance. That's a combination of some of the older vehicles, getting some work done, as well as a couple of new vehicles that we received, outfitting them with our specific racks, etc. Account 70010.2, office equipment software. This is for the lead and copper service line project. This is the particular software that the consulting firm that we'll be working with, they will be using and also providing to us.
Don't we amortize something like that?
Pardon?
Is that not a capital expenditure?
It's just a 1 year. I think this is just for the once per year, correct?
The 1 year?
Software.
You mean, I'm sorry, we pay that amount once a year?
So,
We pay software? You're saying this right?
well,
We
our
pay-
GIS, like our GIS software is 10,000
Oh,
per year, actually going up to
Yeah.
11.
Yeah, okay, so which portion of the 13,000 are for the new module, not the GS?
No, this isn't. This is just the lead and copper service line.
13,000 just for that?
I don't know if that's the exact amount that's in there. No, it's 18.
I mean, the GS, I
It's
understand,
a
but
3-year program.
Yeah,
What we have to pay.
$18,000. They're taking our billing system, our GIS, the towns, they're merging them into one software so that they can look at what homes are before, I think it's 1964, if they were built if they were built after 1964, they can be eliminated. Built before 1964, they go onto the list to be tested for lead and copper pipes.
It's to generate a lead and copper inventory.
It's mandatory
Right.
by
Mandatory.
2024.
Right.
yeah, I mean, I know CAD software is like $20,000 a year in a heartbeat or something, but
It's less than that going forward. It was 18,000 the first year, but it was
I
one
think
thing.
there was a one-time charge of 1,500. And then it would be 16, I think 16.5 the second 2 years for both the consulting piece and the software piece. So this isn't I can't recall the exact, I think it may be maybe 11,000, but I will check. That for you.
Well, I mean, if it's annual, then it's not a capital.
No, no, it isn't.
So
Yeah,
it
I
just
just
seemed
don't-
like high enough that it seems to be some permanent license that's being purchased, right? And then it should be amortized. Okay. Or, depreciated, I should say.
And line, 70675 R&M treatment plants. There was a lightning strike, so we're going to be getting an insurance claim that offsets the funds that are here. We've already talked with Primex. I'm just ensuring that there aren't any additional expenses there in account 81800 outside services. That has the consulting piece of the lead and copper project. That's where we're over there. And then at 90200 and 90300, those are our debt payments. And specifically the timing of when they were due, when they were made.
This lead and copper project, wasn't there a grant or something that covered that to a large extent? Isn't that the meeting we had like 3 months ago?
The mainline extension grant we were looking at back then. Yeah, the source water protection grant, which is the signage.
So there was this the grant that
Asset management grant.
right. That none of that has anything to do with it. I don't recall voting on that,
Voting on what?
on the lead and copper.
It's mandatory.
It was operating, we just did it.
It's out of the operating expense. Okay.
Yeah.
But you may, that's why we're looking a little bit, surprised because I don't think anybody had that on the radar. Okay.
So that lead service line thing is a mandate of all large water systems like we have. Is that from DES mandating that or EPA or something?
Okay. Yeah, EPA,
And
You'd have a-
water systems, it's not just large.
right, you have a lead inventory. 2024.
October 2024.
All right, any other questions or you want to keep moving on, Michelle?
Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Just a note on bank balances. We have the last of the reserve funds, the 200,000 to equipment, 800,000 to non-capital, actually it's going out this week, non-capital, the water purchase and the O&M for the treatment plants. So those are both going to trust funds this week. And also we should see our interest income from our TD Bank account steadily rising. We were able to talk with them and negotiate an increased rate as well as the amount of our balance that they're using as the basis was greatly increased. So we should start seeing that in September.
The consecutive month-by-month trend of the bank balances, are we still doing this? I see, July and August, but I don't see what, is it just because it's a new year or?
Oh, I hadn't, we had done that at the drafts and I just hadn't put it in here again.
Okay.
So there's no changes. We were reconciled when we looked at draft.
Okay.
All right, any further questions from anybody on that? Looks like none, so I guess we can move into the regular session. It looks like we're going to be reading the second reading for the MVD mission statement. So I'm not sure if who's presenting that there.
I'm also going to be doing that, Dawn. Kristen was, but she went home sick today.
Okay,
So the current mission statement of Merrimack Village District is providing water services all night, all day, every day. Part of the level of service project within the asset management program was to update the mission statement and to try to make it more in line with what we are wanting customers to expect from us, but without getting too worried. There were various recommendations made, and the last reading of the board, we did do the update to make the proposed statement, mission statement, to provide the best quality, quantity, and cost-conscious water that meets or exceeds standards for Merrimack's consumption and fire protection from source to tap. And we didn't know if folks still wanted to discuss, consider possible revisions, or if we're ready to take a vote.
That looks good to me.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Makes sense. Anybody else have any comments?
Nope.
So did we want to make a motion to the vote?
I'll move to accept the mission statement as presented.
Seconded.
All right, motion by John to accept the mission statement as read here and presented, and second by Ken. Any other comments? If not, we can, I'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Myself, for the record, I'm in favor. So that passes 4-0-0. So you can proceed, Michelle, if there's anything more in here that you want to present over.
The level of service project that was reviewed by both Kristen and Margaret from Underwood Engineers was provided again for reference. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an assessment of where we stand against each of the goals presently. There are some things that we already are doing, we're doing, so we're just gonna make ourselves an update of where we are on track with our goals, and then make a priority of what remains. And Ron and I discussed perhaps quarterly, just setting the priority for that quarter, what people, who is going to focus on what. And then just keep assessing it at the end of the quarter and make a new timeline the next quarter.
I might have a suggestion for a bullet point to add for measurable ways to achieve goals. And that may be in low hanging one, but ensuring that there's job descriptions for every position in the company. And I'm not sure if there is one for you. I don't think I've ever seen one. There's one for you.
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, superintendent, okay. And maybe reviewing those, you know, and seeing if anything needs updated.
All right, anything else?
That was all that I had for the asset management level of service.
Right. So you don't need a vote on that or anything, right?
No, we can just provide updates on our status going forward from time to time to the board.
All right. So we ready to move on to the credit card policy, second reading on that? No other questions on anything else? We can move on then.
We had said during the last meeting to add language about the timeline to submit
Yes.
expense reports respectively, you know, receipts and so on.
Page 3. Page 3 for procedures. Procedure 2, we added that rather than simply saying that receipts should be given to the operations manager promptly. We put within 2 business days. And further down, the operations manager will forward all receipts to the accounts payable department within 3 business days.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was the only recommendation of change. Were there any further since the first reading?
I'll make a motion to accept the credit card and charge account policy and procedures. There's no revision, right? As presented at today's meeting.
Second.
All right, great. So motion by Wolf, second by John. Any further discussion? If not, then we can all vote by, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Myself, I'm in favor, so that's 4-0-0. Great. All right, so. Yeah, did you have something, Michelle?
That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, great. So we'll move on to item number 3, which is a discussion with Mr. Larry Levake of 1 Tinker Road for a request to waive entrance fee and system development charge to connect to MBD water.
Not here yet, John. We might want to move down to the, maybe the minutes.
Okay, so
UEI on there.
you were expecting him to be present. I didn't know if you guys were going to talk on his behalf, but yeah, we'll come back to that one then.
We've never had the problem that we're too quick for the agenda.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I got to do like remote.
No.
All right, yeah, so it looks like we don't have anybody from Underwood on yet either, so we probably want to go down to
I want something quick.
the minutes from the August 22nd, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting and public hearing. So there are
2 minutes in here?
2 minutes to present. What was that, John?
I was looking earlier for the minutes. I didn't see them. What section are we in?
Number 5,
After all the drafts.
about this thick
Oh, okay.
on the back.
Mm. There it is. Gotcha.
Yeah, I've looked through both. I don't have any comments. I don't know if anybody else has any corrections or questions. If there are none, maybe we can do both in one shot if you want to take a crack at it that way. Unless you have any corrections to offer, but I didn't see any myself. As soon as anybody's ready, then we can entertain a motion to approve both the regular session and the public hearing for August 22nd, 2022.
I got a question. I'm looking at the minutes right now and it's saying members of the board present. Well, Paul John, and a member of the board absent. It says Paul again on the public hearing minutes.
So,
So I just need to revise that.
And just for the record, it's missing my comment that I just referred to, that we should have like a timeline for the expense reporting for the submittal of receipts. But since that's in the policy now, that doesn't matter.
okay, so we're gonna change. Paul was he absent at this meeting? Or was
No,
he-
Ken wasn't at the August 22nd meeting, so that's correct on regular minutes, but on public hearing minutes, it says Paul was absent.
All right, so you're just gonna make that change, that correction?
Yep.
All right, well, we'll do these separately then. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting, August 22nd, 2022?
Moved.
Second,
That was a motion by Wolf, was it?
Yes, sir.
And second by John?
Yep.
All right. All those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Was that an aye? Who was in favor of that?
I'm sorry.
me and Wolf.
Yes, sorry.
I abstained. I wasn't present.
I'm not
missed the
sure if I'm
question.
not hearing or you guys aren't speaking. That's why I couldn't tell the difference.
No. Do you want to repeat that so it's clear?
Yeah, all those in favor of approving the August 22nd, 2022 minutes for the regular Board of Commissioners meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay, so that's 301 with the abstention being Ken. All right, so now the public hearing on that same date. We have that one correction to be made that Jill caught about removing Paul McLaughlin from being marked as absent as he was present. Do I hear a motion to approve the public hearing minutes of August 22nd as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by John, second by Wolf. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, so again, that's 301. Ken, I assume you're abstaining from that
I'm
one?
abstaining. Yep.
All right. Good. So I guess we can continue on with, might as well go into the action items. I'm assuming somebody from Underwood is going to be coming in to talk about the projects we have. So until I see somebody zooming in, we'll just keep moving on the agenda forward as we can. So the next item we can do is the
Hey, Don,
yes.
sorry, Larry Levick is here.
All
You
right,
just-
good.
He's not on camera.
Okay, good. If we're ready, then we can go back to that item and have a discussion with Mr. Larry Levake of One Tinker Road for his request to waive the entrance fee and system development charge for a connection to MVD water. So that being said, if somebody on the board wants to introduce Larry, or if Larry just wants to go ahead and present his discussion, that's fine either way by me.
Don Preventers, our chairman, and he's actually, he's off-site today.
Yep.
So that's why he's participating remotely, but he's the chairman. And then Ken Ayers is the vice chair.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Wolf Fongchon is the
Good evening.
personnel,
Personality, so, right.
and then Commissioner John Lyons.
I'm here because I want to hook up to the water system because I'm having problems with my existing well. I came here to see what the procedure was, and Ms. Lavoy told me that I needed a $2,600 entrance fee. And I was wondering why it was so expensive, since the curb stop is already at my property line. Why a $2,600 fee? It seems excessive to me.
Just to be clear, that's the system development charge and the entrance application fee. There's two fees, but that's combined.
That's combined. There's no bickering with that. That's it. Okay.
Ron, do you want to
Why
explain
is it so expensive?
what the calculation is?
So the entrance fee is the cost that the district to put that water line in. So there was an expense at one time. That does go. It was, I was in the construction business. I did that kind of work. There's no way that it could anywhere near that expensive to do that work. I don't know why that.
It just seems excessive to me.
So that's, I mean, we don't, when it's installed, we don't, it's off of what when the applicant comes forward, it's at the time of what the rates are at the time. So I mean, had you hooked up 10 years ago or whatever it was, it probably would have been, $800, $900 range. But because it's now, we're going off today's entrance fee. And SDC is basically an equity buy-in. So that is to bring you equal into what everybody else is paying into the system. Not that your one service would put us over in the need for water, but it actually brings you up equal. That if, for water searches and that kind of stuff, that fund, that fee is collected to, as we need to go look more, we can go to that fund to expand our system. Our water.
All right. Not happy with it, but ain't much I can do about it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you for coming.
Expecting a rate increase, but we will hold those fees. But because you're coming in now, we can hold that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess we didn't need any further explanation on that. I was gonna say that it's one of my concerns as well, and I think we've stayed the course on this in the past with other requests is, if you let one person connect, it's just gonna open the door and other people are gonna be able to use that as a precedent. So it's kind of difficult position to be in. The $2,600 is the buy-in fee that puts a new user equivalent with what the average remaining customers that we have contributed to the infrastructure that's existing today. So that's kind of where those numbers come from, if anybody in the public is listening and wanted more information. So I guess there's nothing else, no one else in the room to have any more questions on that. Looks like that's where we can move on to something else then. All right, so I guess we can continue on. If no one else has anything else to discuss, we can move on to the action items. So that's included in our packet. And while we wait for somebody from Underwood Engineers to come online and talk about the projects. So I guess we can just go through these action items. Let's see here. Number 2 is a graph. What is this? The outstanding, not a graph, sorry about that. The engineering service request, I think that was already done previously, so it's looking like October. We're planning on having that presented again. It says here in the right column, right?
Yep.
Number 23 looks like the same situation where that's going to be reported quarterly. We're talking about PFAS sample points in the distribution system. That's good. Actually, I was just asked by somebody about that yesterday, and I think we do have that table on the website, last I remember. So I told the person it was on the website. I just couldn't go and point out to them exactly where it was. But number 40, MVD open house at treatment plant. I think we had tabled that until next spring, or is that left over from last spring?
I think that would, well, it was dated 6/21/2021, so probably.
We actually had said we're gonna table until next spring when 7 and 8 and 2 and 3 respectively, 2 and 9,
Right.
already to be part of that
Okay.
open house.
All right. So we'll let that one ride. Any questions? If not, number 43, the salt mitigation meeting.
Why don't we change that until spring 2023? So we don't talk about this repeatedly.
Right. Or put a note on there that in the last column, because that was the date added, is the 2021, right? So if we want to just put something in that last column, say to be discussed spring of 2023. All right, number 43, ongoing salt mitigation meetings. Was there any update on that, Ron? I thought you were going to talk to Jamie about doing something again this fall or something.
Yeah, I did want to have one this fall, so I'll get that out. I don't have I'll start getting that out just to get some dates when it works for everybody. Signs have been ordered. Signs and posts have been ordered.
Posts have not, they've been-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Posts being ordered. Okay.
All right. Do we want to come back to this, seeing we got Peter here? So maybe we can just remember that we are on number 46 on the
43.
action items, 43. So why don't we leave that there? And since we have Peter here, looks like you're the stand-in from Underwood, Peter, to speak about our various projects we have going on with you guys.
Yes, Lynette is joining in a second too, so I just, she was in the office before she went home, and I'm like, hey, you want to join on in case you had questions on some of the graphs that we had for the PFAS and that type of thing.
Right. Do you want to wait for her, or
She should be joining any second now.
we can go back to the action items if you guys want to give her another few minutes. You want to do that?
Yeah, what's that?
All right.
Yeah, she,
Sorry to bounce around, but let's go back to action item number 43 as we wait for Lynette to join in. Was there anything else you were going to report on that, Ron?
No, as soon as I can get out I'll come up with some dates and I'll get that out to everybody to
Right.
our next meeting. But I did feel we should have something going into the winter.
Yeah, I think the last meeting you said you were going to touch base with Jamie. So if you could do that, because make sure that his schedule is there. He's a key player on those. All right. Any other questions?
Your thought, do we want to do something after the salt policy on the 13th, or we look, well, we probably wouldn't have anything before that anyway, so it probably would probably fall after.
Yeah, if you want to try to set something up after the town council meeting on October 13th, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
That sounds reasonable. Yeah, why don't you find out what Jamie's schedule is, and hopefully he's available, because he's going to be probably the toughest one to pin down. All right. Any other questions on 43? We can move on if not. All right, so number 46, we talked about a future public event policy. And I think we talked about this last week. That still is in Kerry's purview, I believe. What has anybody spoken to her? Is she back in working these days, or what's the status of that?
Jill just stepped out for a minute, but I do not believe she's back in yet. I think she's still out.
All right.
Last I heard, she was still out. So.
Okay.
Carrie?
What about her?
Have you heard from her?
I heard from her once, she is still on leave. So, still working with Demetria.
All right. Okay, why don't we table these action items for now? We left off with number 46.
Why don't we change that to November?
Yeah. See how it says discussed in September? Yeah, let's make that November. If she's available in time to have something for us to review, right? I think everything was in her court. She was going to make some edit or finalize it or something. So, all right.
Yep.
All right, so we'll leave off at 46. It looks like we got Lynette and Pete over at Underwood.
yeah, Lynette was having a hard time. Her Zoom was reloading or updating. So I just said, why don't you just come join in with me? So we're going to be here together on this one.
All right, that's fine. Good, appreciate it.
Yeah. So did you have any questions on the graphs that were sent over for the PFAS testing?
Really look at it.
You got a bunch of them.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to point out well two, the raw water grass looks like well two is back. The PFOA is back above 12. It was down for some time. I think more when we weren't using it, and when we started pumping, there seems like the PFOA level was lower, but that's kind of back up as you can see in the graphs here.
Yeah, I believe, Ron, you weren't running that much in the April to May timeframe, correct?
In May is when it started up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's funny. I don't know if it's the seasonal thing with coming into summer that we see the PFOA go up, or if it's more related to pumping, but both happened, it wasn't being pumped until we needed the water. So all of
Yeah.
a sudden PFOA starts.
Yeah.
creeping.
I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing maybe to take the monthly flow rates and stuff, or monthly volumes, and just kind of do a comparison, on the same graph.
Yeah, I don't know. I know people have asked that before, and I don't know if we want to spend money to try to analyze what you were just talking about, is graph the PFOA level against pumping volume.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it, if you look at the graph, and there's a pretty big bump in the in 2019 between August and September, and then it drops off again. And I think 2019, weren't we pretty dry then? I mean, then we had 2020 where it stayed kind of low. I think we had some more rain that summer, and then we had it peak up again. Yeah, and in the August time, it looks like you are peaking in the summerish, yeah. Right, so I think it is related to pumping compared to
Seasonality, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys actually develop a graph of pumping? I don't know if you do them individually. I thought I remember seeing something in the past about volume pumped and things in the past.
Yeah.
Think we have any.
We don't have any comparison between that.
Maybe
Yeah, maybe Jamie did something with that.
Yeah, because you guys were graphing our consumption, and it's been on a steady downward trend. But I don't know if that's for the whole combined sources, I'm sure, right?
Right, yeah.
So I don't know that it's been broken out by wells individually that have been graphed or not, but it would be interesting to know. I mean, I don't know what we would do with that information, really, to be honest with you, but there have been people who have asked me that. So, I don't know. Why don't you figure out what kind of effort you think that would be, if you want to just figure that out, like, how readily available the data is, how you can combine these two into one graph or something, and or overlay one over the other on top of the other or something, and see if there's correlations like that. But it would be kind of good to know once and for all. If it's something that can be done relatively simply, then maybe we should consider doing it. So maybe for a future meeting, if you want to revisit that.
Okay, we can put together a costing, bring it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Peter,
Yes,
Wolf here. So the backwash only happened at 7 and 8, right? Nothing at 4 and 5, or
that is correct.
and without correlating the dates in your email or in Lynette's email and the charts, do we see any impact of the backwashing in terms of the filtration capabilities here? Have you overlaid the dates onto those charts to see if they have any impact? Because I see a couple of jumps here, right? For example, for well, hang on, that's 4 and 5 again. These are all 4 and 5 charts, right? There's no 7 and 8 charts.
Yeah, there are 7 and 8 charts.
Watch was all 4 and 5.
Right. This is all 4 and 5, 4 and 5. I guess what I'm wondering is still, is there any concern that the backwash has affected the filtration rate the absorption rate of the media.
I don't know that it's affecting the rate, Wolf. I mean, it's hard to, because the backwashes are, the samples are monthly for the compounds, and then the backwashes are in between them.
But they're roughly 40 days.
Yeah, they're running exactly 40 days apart, we're sampling roughly 30 days apart, so they don't exactly correlate with the points. We are wondering if, it does seem like we're getting compounds through the ports sooner than we did with 4 and 5. So we don't know if that is because of the backwashes and everything's kind of getting jumbled up a little bit in there, so we're seeing it at lower concentrations, even though, whereas if we hadn't backwashed, maybe we wouldn't see it at the lower ports yet. But also the way the RSSCT testing went on 7 and 8, everything went through a lot faster. There was a faster breakthrough. Your warranty is less bed volumes on that plant. So it could just be the water too, I'm kind of waiting until we get into the, I think once you get into the lag vessel, then we'll be able to tell a little bit more, because that hasn't been disturbed, And so then we can compare the lead vessel breakthrough to the lag vessel breakthrough and tell if, the backwashing does jumble it up at all, or if it.
I did not realize that. So that suspected bacterial growth there is only happening on the lead vessel.
Yeah, and it's right on the top. They did differential pressures, across the ports, and the head loss is all in that first port, going between the first sample port.
Yeah.
So it's all
25%.
Yeah, it's all up top.
So is there ongoing testing to see what is causing that?
That's what we're working on now. We've been talking with a couple different labs on, trying to get some pricing and figuring out exactly what we should test for to, what we want to do is test the raw water coming in, the water after the green sand, and then the backwash water, and see if we can tell, is it the same bacterial species? I don't know if that's the right term. In all 3, or is it showing up somewhere, because you do have the iron bacteria issue in the raw water, so we don't know if it's that and it's going through, or if it's something else that's being generated within the process. So that's kind of what our next goal is to try and do some bacterial testing in there and see if we can find out what kind of bacterial growth we have, and if we can figure out where it's emanating from. And then, one thing we've talked about is, if it does look like it's coming through from the raw water, if it's the iron bacteria, possibly trying to move the chlorination out to well 8, and well 7, no 8, because that's
way out?
earlier. Yeah,
Oh,
way
yeah,
out, and
okay.
hit it early, and see if, not having the growth in the pipes on the raw water side, if that helps, take care of it, because you don't get the thick growth and resistance. and stuff.
We're using system water to backwash.
Yes.
Every time we were backwashing, even to get the iron out, we were flowing it through the lead vessel and washing through the second. Is it possible that it's in the water main? When we backwash, we're relieving it, but we're actually bringing in that bacteria, and then it grows again?
That should be
Is it
close.
possible?
No, because you're backwashing with distribution water, right?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it's in the main already.
You're thinking you have like biofilm in the finished water main?
Yes. In the finished water main, and every time we backwash, we're bringing it in. Because I'm just wondering how and it may have been there. It had to have come from, I'm just confused why it's getting through the green sand.
But when you're coming through for backwashing, it does not go through the lag vessel. It comes into just the lead vessel at the bottom. So if you were bringing something from distribution, I think it might, if you were catching it, it should catch it in the, in the bottom quarter of the tank instead of the top, right?
Do you follow that with a rinse
Yeah, no, that's
process?
true. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Then
you
you rinse.
backwash it, then you go forward for a bit, and then. Yeah, I don't think he goes too long, but I think he does go forward with a filter to waste rinse, and then he goes online, I believe.
Does that rinse water come from distribution or does that come from the wells after the green
Then
sand?
it's the wells at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just rinsing out whatever's in the vessel, just kind of, and the piping or whatever, just to clean all that out
Yeah.
before you go to the lag vessel.
Yeah, Ron, do you know how long he does that for?
I don't, but I can find that out.
Yeah.
That was just something I was thinking about, and I just wanted to run it by you real quick, but
Yeah,
So
my initial thought is I think it might get caught in the bottom, but
Mhm.
it's something to think about though, but I think it would get caught there.
But do we have any results at all that even lets us know if it's mineral or bacterial or anything?
Evoqua did some testing on the first backwash, right?
Yeah.
They did some analytical testing and they didn't do bacterial testing, but they photographed slides basically. So there's pictures of what looks like under the microscope, like a gelatinous type material with a little bit of GAC kind of stuck in it, kind of thing. That's why they're thinking it's bacterial.
Oh, all right. I was wondering how you kind of, or say.
How we came to that, I know.
Yeah.
Be nice if we could like open the top of that tank and look in or whatever, I don't know.
So anyways, we're already getting PFOA breaking through the lead vessel at well 7 and 8, right? I think.
I don't-
Thought you had a summary in here or something somewhere, but
Yeah, what do we give my summary? That's probably better than trying to figure out the graphs. It looks like the short chains are, the PFBS. Shouldn't be PFBS, it should be PFBA. Yeah, PFBA and PEA, the first two are coming through the first vessel, So that's why we recommended to start sampling the lag vessel, because we haven't sampled the lag vessel yet.
right. So did you say PFOA was breaking through? I thought that
No, it's
Change
the
broke through like 3 months ago or so.
the short chains, the PFBA and the PFPEA. They came through in the July sample.
I'm almost positive last meeting that there was something said that PFOA is breaking through the lead vessel at well
7 and
7
8.
and 8, not 4 and 5, 7 and 8. Is that what the understanding of the board was too, or am I not remembering that correctly?
7, 8.
It doesn't show that it's even in the 75%
We've got it in
test
all
port.
reports.
Well, that was in August, but I don't know if we have that. Are these the latest results that we have?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, let's see, what's colors PFOA?
It's the orange line with the green dot, I think.
Red, what did I put in the write-up?
So it looks like it's being detected in the 50% lead vessel.
That's the one.
Yeah, so you
Is that
should,
the right one?
we're checking the table right now.
Yeah, I like the
Let's see,
table
it's
better.
7
Here's
and
the
8.
effluent, 7 and 8. effluent. So we have, no, the lead vessel effluent, we've got PFBA, PFPEA, and it looks like PFHXA has come through. PFOA is still back at the 75% port. 75, yeah.
So it's getting
So
close, it's getting close.
It's 3/4 of the way. The PFOA is. It's not in the effluent though, so it's between the 75 and the effluent. So next month it'll probably be in the effluent
Oh,
of
so
the
it's-
lead, of the lead vessel.
7 and 8, just like a month old.
Yeah, I think, how many months it's been running 100%?
February.
April.
April, yeah.
Well, February is when we started running water through it though.
Right.
I didn't
But the-
think it was producing water until like last month.
No,
I don't know.
No, yeah, it was fully online in April.
Right.
So, and the, well, just for comparison, the warranty that they gave us on 7-8 is 38,000 bed volumes, and the warranty they gave us on 4-5 was 60,000 bed volumes. So that's how much faster it came through in the RSSCT testing in 7-8 than it did in 4-5, you know?
Mhm. All right, yeah, so it was detected in the 75% port at
Yeah.
2.65 is what that table
Yeah.
shows, right? Is that looking
Yep.
at that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
I don't see that showing up in the graph.
It's hidden, I think it's,
Well, we're on the wrong port,
oh, so
75 port. Well, yeah, it may be hidden behind the mustard colored line. I don't know. There's a sticky. I'll have her check it.
All right. Okay, well, I guess this is still probably further along than we expect at this point. That's for sure. I was under the impression it had already gone through the 100% port, but that's sounds like it's probably going to be knocking at the door pretty quickly if it's not there already.
Right, I would expect next month it'll be in the lag. The thing, like I say, I mean, the thing that I don't know is it, does it appear to be going through faster because we're backwashing and we're stirring it up? I mean, they're low concentrations, you know, it's 2 parts, pretty much 2 parts of everything, 2 to 3. 50% port is at 12. You know, so I don't know. I don't know if it's because we're mixing it up and it looks like it's going through faster, or if it actually is, you know, going through faster because it's just not.
yeah, I think that's where Lynette was
So,
saying it'd be nice to look at this as it's going through the lag vessel to see how it's going through there with a sort of undisturbed
Yeah.
vessel compared to a vessel that's been disturbed with backwashing.
All right, so the lead vessel's been the only one that we've had to backwash. We haven't had any
Right.
problem with the lag vessel.
Yeah, and then once we make the change, lead to lag, then that vessel now is gonna probably act just like the lead vessel is currently. So we would want to be looking at this for that next couple months as we're going through the lag vessel and see how it's working. And that would probably give us a better idea of how it's treating the water. And then we got to straighten out that issue with the bacteria
What's going
before,
on,
yeah.
right, well, we're still working on that.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know, like we kind of saw that weird thing at 4-5, you know, where we were going 6 months to the port, 6 months to the next port, 6 months, and then all of a sudden it broke through the effluent a month after it broke through the 75, you know, so it seems like, but the concentrations are going up a lot slower, you know, in the upper ports, it would show up at, you know, 2 to 5 parts, and then the next month it would be up at 15. It would be over the MCL, right? And then, but what we're seeing in the lower, those 2 lower, you know, the 75 and the effluent on 4 and 5 is it's gradually going up. You know, it's been like 3 months before it's hitting that level that we would have expected to see. You know, so it seems like there's capacity there in the lower part of the vessel. It's showing up in the ports, but there's still capacity there, and so the concentrations are going up slower than they were as it was coming through the upper ports. And I wonder if it's something like that with 7 and 8, because it's getting stirred up, you know, are we seeing it? We're seeing it in low concentrations, but it's not, you know, making this the normal slope going up that it would have if it was just stationary. I don't know.
Right.
We don't know at this point, you know. That's why it'll be nice, you know, once it does go through the lag to see, or the lead, see what it does in the lag, you know. Is it going fast through those ports too, or does it, you know, then take months and months to get to the 25% port because it's not, you know, it hasn't been disturbed, so.
So I think we might want to see if we can correct that, call it a bacteria problem, whatever it is that's causing the pressure buildup.
Yeah, we're trying to get things lined up for the next backwash to be able to sample, you know, to be ready to sample, know what we're going to sample for, know how much it's going to cost and everything, and get everybody's buy-in to do it before the next one.
But like Peter was just saying, when the time comes to switch out the lead vessel over there, it it would be good to have a handle if we can correct this bacteria problem so that we don't introduce it into the lag vessel, which hasn't been experiencing any problems, right? So, yeah, can you kind of make sure you stay on Evoqua? Are they the ones that are kind of doing all this testing on our behalf, or are we doing?
No, they did the first round of testing when we did the first backwash. They came out and they actually backwashed it with Brian, and they took samples and did all kinds of analysis and said, you know, here, look at the slides we did under the microscope. It looks like you have a, you know, kind of a bacterial growth problem, and good luck.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to figure out since then. I've been getting quotes and stuff. There's not a lot, you know, it's not as the bacterial testing isn't as readily available. It's not like just going out for inorganic testing where you go to the local lab, you know. So I've been talking with a couple different labs to get prices and see what they can do and figure out what will give us the data that we need to try and figure out what's going on.
So based on that, Evoqua was kind of putting this as an MVD issue, and I guess they're saying there's nothing, even though it's our fault that we need to backwash the media basically because of this, whatever this slime or bacteria is that's affecting.
Right. So that was our thought in like testing the raw water after green sand and then the backwash water, you know, because if it's the same strain of bacteria, if you will, you know, if it's iron bacteria all the way, then we go, okay, somehow it's coming through from the wells and it's making it all the way to the GAC. You know, if it's not, if it's something different, you know, then, you know, we start pointing the finger in the other direction and say, it's different than what it is. It's not what's coming in. There was something in the vessel or something in the GAC.
Something in the GAC, yeah, because that's kind of what we want. That's kind of what this is going, right?
Well, right. That's what we want to look at. I mean, I doubt it because we're not seeing anything in the lag vessel. It's the same GAC. Why would we have it in the lead vessel, not the lag vessel? You know, if it was a GAC issue, but you know, it's what we want to look at and try and figure out.
All right, and correct my memory, but these breakthrough warranties is only for the first load of media in each vessel, and then there's no more warranties after that, right?
Right, and not unless you can negotiate one with them, you know. So 4 and 5, you know, we're getting ready to change that out. So we've been talking with them the last couple of weeks, getting into all the nitty-gritty details of exactly how the change out's going to work and what's going to be tested for what, and how much it's going to cost and all that stuff. So they're working up proposals for that change out. And they've sent the profile canister sample out to be tested to make sure they can take it for regeneration. And they've been doing some testing they tested it to make sure that it would regen okay, and they think it's going to regenerate okay.
All right, yeah.
So that's all been going on in preparation for that change out. But
do we have an understanding where the PFAS load goes as part of the regeneration? Is it being burned off? Is it, you know, going
so they'll bring a truck, well, two trucks. I think they need 2 trucks to get the full load back when it's wet. So I think they bring 2 trucks, they pull out the GAC, they take it back to Pennsylvania. I think it's Darlington, Pennsylvania is where their facility is. They put it through the kiln incinerator. I don't know what it's called. Burn it off. Add virgin makeup, put it back in a truck and send it back.
I believe you're gonna get a certificate of destruction for that PFAS. So you're gonna get
that. You're saying we are getting that?
I don't know. I guess
it was my understanding that we were, and we'll just double check that.
I believe, I think you're right, Pete. I think we are gonna we should be getting a certificate of destruction.
I kind of would like to really know more about that and make sure it doesn't just get burned off in a chimney. I mean, it might get burned off anyway, but it might be in the exhaust gases, right? We don't know. I don't know. It really would be nice to know if they have some kind of RTO or whatnot right in place that ensures that we're not just redistributing the problem somewhere else.
Okay.
At least for the sake of being able to answer that question when somebody asks us.
Yep. I will ask all these questions in my next grilling of them.
Thank you.
Great.
Do we want to make that an action item, maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking if, otherwise if we might lose track of it or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you.
Lynette, I was just looking through an email that you sent on September 14th, and it says that, let's see here, we're at 59,105 bed volumes on wells 4 and 5.
Yep.
And the warranty is 60,000 for breakthrough of the 4 regulated compounds. That's just through the lead vessel you're talking about, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the actual breakthrough occurred at what, 48-ish? Yeah,
Okay, so that's noted and, okay,
I think it was, oh, I don't have it on the sheet. I'm pretty sure it was was it April that it broke through? I just drafted a letter, and I don't know if you want it to come from us or for Ron, but Keith thought we should be making a formal warranty request, I guess. So I just drafted a letter saying, you know, hey, your warranty was for 60,000 for this, you know, we broke through at 48,000 bed volumes. That means you owe us 232 cubic feet of GAC.
right.
I mean, we've been talking to them, we've had a conference call or two with them on that, you know, so we talked about it through email, but there hasn't been a formal request. So I'm thinking once we get the pricing on the change out, you know, that they're working on now, then we send that letter saying, by the way, here's our formal request for our warranty.
Yeah,
So
I think
you owe us.
I think it's important to get that stuff on record for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so later in the email, it looks like you were saying something about they're doing profiling testing
Yep.
of the media. Then you said something about changing out in October or November. We were targeting September. And the only thing that I'm wondering is if we push this out past when our reduced rate from Pennachuck runs out, which is what, like middle of October, I think, right? It was for a 1 year.
Yeah, so I want to say it's right around the 20th. We got 21st, something like that, I believe.
Right. By waiting, if we, you know, hopefully we can do this earlier, but then, you know, either mid or late October or November. Are we going to run into any issues with having source water issues? I guess the point I'm making is if we need to go to Pennachuck to supplement some water, it'd be nice to do that at this low rate than going, because once this low rate is done, we're back to the retail rate, which is more than we sell it for. So we would certainly, and you know, that's going to be blowing thousands of gallons for flushing and backwashing and all that. So I'm just wondering what the situation is for that, if we have enough source capacity. Because it seems like we're still going to have 7 and 8 online. Well, that's the other thing. Well 2 is going to be coming offline, right? That's where this is. Now I'm remembering what the issue was, because we got to take well 2 offline, right?
Yeah, you'll only lose 4 or 5 though for a few days while you're, you know, because once you take the carbon out of there, you can still be, once the carbon comes out of the lead vessel, you can still be running 4 or 5 through the lag vessel, right? Because we're only taking carbon from one vessel. Then that gets shipped off. You know, then when it comes back, then it'll be down for, you know, a little bit to load the carbon onto it, backwash it, kind of get it ready, you know, and then goes back online. So it won't be offline
the whole time it's being reconstituted.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it'll be down a whole day because you're gonna backwash and soak. So when you get it back, so we'll be able to run 4 and 5 through the lag.
We still have to do a back test on that one.
Can you do both at the same time though?
Well, no, I mean, you can shut it, we'll shut it down for a little bit. We backwash and soak, and then it's gonna soak. We can bring 4 and 5 back up. and run through the lag. So if it's shut down, it wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be shut down more than a day. But even that day, it would, once you soak it, you could theoretically, you could turn the 4 and 5 back on and flow back to the system.
What's our demand right now? Are we getting down back low around the 2 or something, or we're 2
We're
million
down.
gallons a day?
We ran call 2 today just for a little bit to catch up, but only because we had too much water and the interconnect got shut down, but never got turned back on. So we were catching back up, but well 2 is probably back off right now. So we're maintaining with just the interconnect, 7 and 8, 4 and 5.
Okay. Yeah, I was just getting a little concerned about kicking this out a little bit later. You know, we were talking about, should we do this in August? And then it was like, well, let's do it in September. And now it looks like October, November, and next month it'll be December.
Well, no, we've done the profiling and we've already initiated the change out, the schedule for the change out as well. So we're hoping the timing, once we get the profile back, we'll be able to jump right into getting that shipped out. So
they're expecting the results from the profiling by the end of the month. I think maybe even the end of next week. It was, oh, is that the end of the month? Okay. It was 7 to 10 days from when I was emailing with him last week. So I was thinking end of the month, they should have the test results done. He's working on getting us pricing on it. They won't actually schedule the change out until they have a PO, they said. So we need to get the pricing, nail down exactly what we want to do with the change out, make the official order to them, and then they'll schedule it. But he said they're not really busy right now. So he was thinking middle of October, late October at the latest, we should be able to start the change out, if you will.
All right. And I mean, I think we're hoping to have non-detect PFOA in the finished water. So hopefully that whole process doesn't take longer by the time the carbon is reconstituted and delivered back. Hopefully that doesn't happen and it's such a time where the PFOA is all of a sudden breaking through the lag vessel on its own.
Right.
We're getting close to that one.
So
Only
where are we
doing
at
the-
on the slag?
That's what I'm wondering, because we're already into the lag vessel with PFOA on Wells
We
Ford.
are.
right?
I need a straight edge here.
Here.
I need to put some lines on my table. I'm used to looking at it on a screen. So PFOA, we do not have PFOA at the 50% yet. So it looks like we are still, oh no, we don't even have it at the 25. Right, vessel. So right now in your lag vessel, you have just the first 3 short chains. You've got the PFBA, the PFPEA, PFHXA,
In the 25% for it.
and then a random one of a PFBS came through. That was unexpected, but that's what, yeah, that's what's in the lag vessel right now. And coming out of the lag vessel, you've got the PFBA and the PFPEA, those 2 short chains, and they've been there for, well, the PFBA has been there a while. The PEA been
Oh,
there
yeah,
for 3 months.
yeah. All right, so I guess, yeah, I'm looking at the table now.
So so we still haven't seen PFOA in the 25% port yet, so.
Okay, well, let's hope that doesn't start making its way through.
Right. I mean, hopefully it behaves like the lead vessel
Yeah.
does, and you got 6 months before you hit one port and 6 months before you hit the next port, and we have some time there.
Right. All right, I think those are all the questions I had as far as the situation with, our vessels and so hopefully they can get that scheduled. I don't know if there's a way they won't even put us on the schedule until they have the results in hand, it sounds like, unfortunately.
Right, and they're due soon though, so they should be in this week or next week.
All right. Anything else that you guys wanted to present, or does the board have any other questions on this? Any of the breakthrough, the performance of our wells 4 and 5 or 7 and 8 vessels? I guess I would just say we might be looking at I don't know when, if we're even should start thinking about replacing the media at well 7 and 8 lead vessel yet. I know we want to try to get a hold on that issue on the bacteria if we can, obviously, before we introduce that into the lag vessel.
Right, and I think, as the PFOA is coming through, when it starts coming through the lead vessel, seeing what happens in the lag vessel, does it show up in the 25% port pretty quickly, or is it gonna take months to come through there, Then I think we'll have a better handle on, do we need to start looking at a change out, in a few months from this one or not?
Right. All right, so that, I guess that covers wells 4 and 5 media warranty update, and wells 2 and 9, that we didn't talk about that yet, right?
No.
Is there any other questions from the board or Ron or Jill or anything before we move on to wells 2 and 3? Or 2 and 9? All right. Do you have an update on the construction at wells 2 and 9, Peter, I assume, or?
Yeah, so the sort of the update on that is the contractor is moving along. We did talk to him about shutting down of well 2, and I think you guys talked about that last month at the meeting, that we did not want to be shutting down that supply, because once you shut it down, it's down until the whole plant is up and running and all that. If he does not have the VFD and the butterfly valves, they are also missing the generator too. The facility, you could still run it without a generator, but you can't run it without a VFD and the valves. So we asked him today, and again, he said he had no update on when those would be coming in. So we're not even getting any word from him saying, yeah, we're expecting them, in early October, then we can kind of plan. It's just, I have no update. So I was going to start sending him a weekly email just to get, sort of a written status of where we stand, on that. So.
Those are Siemens VFDs, right?
Pardon me?
Those are Siemens VFDs, right?
I'm not positive, to tell you the truth.
I thought they were at 4 and 5. So let him know if he needs any German connection. I'm right here.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I don't know if
sometimes that helps,
Yeah, I don't know if they are Siemens. I could look that up, but I don't know if that is true. So right now he's, they're doing a bunch of work. They, depending on, when he gets notification, there might be a point where all of a sudden they, stop the work out there because that's the next thing that they need to do. So right now, in terms of the site and stuff, they're running the gas line in. They should finish that up tomorrow, gas line in. That's the last piping. And then they're looking at doing paving. They were talking about doing paving by the end of the month. My guess is that probably bleeds into the first week of October. But then when they have that, the site is, then they can start, loaming up the shoulders and all that kind of stuff, and the site will start looking pretty good. The fence is all up around, so that's all in. They're putting some of the slats in there for view, people can't view through it. But it's looking pretty good. The inside is looking nice. They're finishing up a lot the electrical work. The HVAC is mostly done. Process is pretty much done, except for some of those valves that we're looking for. Chem feed is pretty much complete. So the plant is looking pretty good. Besides some of those, those few components that are very critical. So
Peter, from in the last meeting, and Ron, in the last meeting, we had talked about that it's difficult for us to get samples from the top of the vessel in the filtration plant of 7 and 8, right? And I know about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we had a workshop where we talked about how do we, do we want to add a mezzanine or some kind of scaffolding or something, or to be able to reach any of the superstructures, right? The overhead structures. And with, the new building here at well 2 and 9 being somewhat yet in a fairly raw state, should we talk about, dropping like a crawler boom lift or something like that into the building onto the floor? So
We actually did look at that, actually. We talked with Wes about possibly getting us one of those. And he said that he, spoke with the distributor for those, and they cannot order them, or they have no idea when they're coming in. We can certainly put an order in on one, but we don't know when that would come,
we get that into the building once everything is finished.
And that,
We could.
so you could get that, you can easily drive that into 2-9, because we have garage doors and stuff that you can drive right into the, the GAC room. And
Okay.
over at 7 and 8, we have that lifting beam with the hoist crane, so we could actually drive it in and lower it down, off of the platform up top. So we certainly can get it in. 7 8's a lot tougher getting it in and out. 2-9, it can easily be driven in and out.
Okay, that's why I was asking, because if it was a matter of deciding now to spend another $20,000-$30,000 and put one of those in there while we can.
And actually, we had the tabs put on at 7 and 8, the ladder tabs, so we can actually fix a ladder to the side of those vessels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the tabs are on, I think, all the vessels.
I was just gonna ask, were they put on at 2 and 9 as well?
I believe they're on 2 and 9, but I'm not positive they're on 4 or 5. That's the one I'm
No, I don't think
questioning.
they weren't on at 4 and 5, because that was an afterthought.
They were not?
I don't believe they're on it.
Okay, yeah.
So well 2 is when, you don't know yet when we're planning on shutting that down for that period of time, right? It's still available to be run now as we need it, correct?
It is running right now. Yeah, that's what we wanted, because we had no idea when the facility would come back online. Ron did not feel comfortable just saying, shut it down, because he was giving us no data to make that decision by. So we're like, once you give us the data of when you're, we were saying we want to have the, stuff in hand, but, Ron was saying, well, if we know if it's in shipment, well, we can start doing the work. If it's going to take a week to get there, but we know it's on the road, then we can, do that work. But if have no idea, then we need to hold off, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll look, I'll try to find out a cost for the man lift there. Okay. Yeah, but that one, that the 2-9 is going along pretty good, besides a little bit of shipment issue, so.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on that treatment plant, wells 2 and 9?
I have a question for 9. I think this is the third meeting where I'm reminding everyone that, maybe it's the second one, but I think it's the third, but it doesn't matter. The letter from DES about the permit that was so dismissive about water, production needs and so on.
I got an update for you on that.
You do? Okay.
It just happened. I was working on a project for my own business in Bow, New Hampshire. And Andrew Koff from DES responded it said that they were talking about MVD 9 and my name came up or something that day. This was like last week. And I said, we were really hoping that you guys will, be able to approve that for the requested 1,000 gallons a minute. And he responded and said that they are at this point. They're looking at approving it for the full 1,000 gallons per minute. And they are requesting a wetlands monitoring plan or something. So we knew that, but I think, I don't know if that was where you were going, Wolf, but I think we were concerned that they might try to reduce the approval capacity in some manner.
Right.
It looks like they're, from that indication I saw last week, it looks like they're approving it for the 1,000 gallons a minute requested. So unless anybody else has any more information on that, hopefully that's good news.
Yeah, it is hearsay though, no offense, right? So I mean, the whole point of that letter was to be proactive and make them understand that we're not really in a very luxurious position at all with our water supply. And their stance in that letter was really not applicable, right? It was not reflective of our situation at all. So I guess now with that news, it's probably better not to poke the bear, right? But it's kind of against what I had in mind when we talked about this the first time, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you got a good point. There's some unresolved comments in there that remain that we don't necessarily agree with. But I don't know that if we're going to get the approved capacity that we're requesting,
then we're good.
Maybe if we want to respond, we respond after they issue the permit or something, but.
All right, let's wait what comes.
All right. It did sound like a good indication and it sounded pretty sure, so if Ron, if you hear anything in the grapevine or Jamie hears anything different, maybe you might, if you want, Ron, you can reach out to Jamie and see if they've indicated anything to Jamie consistent.
I will,
Yeah.
but I was at the impression, I think it was Dan was saying that he thought we were gonna get it. He just had to do some additional like monitoring and stuff for it could be like a temporary permit type of thing with some monitoring going on just to back up their report, but I can definitely reach out.
Yeah, I would have a level of comfort if Jamie heard the same thing, that, they were planning to issue the approval for the full 1,000 gallons a minute requested. That would kind of substantiate what I heard. So that would make us feel a little better, I think. Anything else on the mechanics of wells 2 and 9 or anything? Any other questions about that? I know there's a question about in the butter. Maybe we want to just talk about real quick since Peter's here. I think maybe it makes sense. But before we move to that, is there any other questions about wells 2 and 9 or anything else from anybody? All right, looks good. Yeah, so Peter, I know you provided a lot of good information. There was a question about one of the abutters. What is their address again? It's 10.
I think it's 10 Berry Lane.
10 Berry
Is that
Lane.
right, Ron?
Yes.
And I guess there was some questions that the thing I was wondering about is there was an indication that they weren't aware or they were never given notice about the project, the wells 2 and 9 construction project. And I know we did have to get some site approval, I believe, site plan approval from the planning board. I guess the question I had is was that meeting not considered a public hearing, and was there any notices provided to the abutters or not? And they missed the notice, or did that process not require a public notification? I'm not sure if you have the answer to that, but.
So we're not required to go to the planning board. And we've done in the past projects. Peter has gone as a courtesy, more or less, just to go over the project. So we are not required to do it. Not that. So whether or not they know that they probably don't notify. They wouldn't have been notified when Peter went because we didn't have to notify abutters. So.
But we did go there and explain the project to the the planning board, you know, and where we were. One thing I didn't add to that email that I sent out, and I was talking with Ron today, and he did bring it up. You know, at the beginning of the job, one of the workers from Kinsman was out laying out the you know, fence line, or he was doing it with clearing limits or something like that at the very beginning of the project. And that property owner had a concern, and Ron with our site resident, Joel, they met with them, laid out plans and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, sort of explained what was happening. Also, during the project, when we were looking at locating, you know, the generator was supposed to be located closer to his house. And then Ron was asking, hey, can we, you know, move that generator, you know, back a little bit? It'll save some trees, it'll get the generator a little bit further away from the road. And we ended up, you know, making those changes. And that, you know, I don't think this property owner knew that, you know, that Ron was requesting that, trying to make things, you know, better for, you know, for him. But I think Ron has done a decent job of communicating with them. And when they had, you know, some questions and stuff, you know, when the fence was going in, just what was it, 3 weeks ago, Ron, you were out in the backyard talking to the wife, you know, explaining what was going to be happening, and she was okay with that, you know, so.
Yeah,
Actually, early, so there was a couple of occasions I met, you know, Joel and I met with them as well, but they actually came here, we opened up the plans, I showed them the plans, I actually said, if you want to see what the building looks like, I told them where, well, 4 or 5 was, just take a ride by there, that's what we're looking at. Same kind of building, a little bit bigger. There was a few more trees were supposed to come down, so I've been really, they did note that the buffer was a concern, so we were trying to maximize, save some trees and do all of that. As Pete mentioned, we moved the generator. And then the fence that we installed was more or less to delineate the property line that they're kind of encroaching on, so.
Yeah, looking at this email, you have noted that their shed was partly on MVD property.
It was, if not on it, it was right on the line, yeah.
well, that's
Fire
good.
pit, you know,
Yeah, I wasn't aware, Ron. So according to what I heard is that they actually had their own opportunity to kind of have you explain and show the plans exactly what was going on, which is probably even better than what you would have expected might have happened at a planning board presentation. So I wasn't aware of that. That's new information. But yeah, that's great. I'm glad you did that.
No, that was early on. That was right at the very beginning when I think they were just to start doing some clearing, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, I'm sure you probably explained that the building had to be located where it was because of the grades and the proximity to the wetlands. If we would have moved it further away from that property line, we would have had topographic problems with the slope, and the proximity to wetlands is closer. And so there's other issues that we kind of had to force that building back up the slope a little bit further. So.
And there was a couple, you know, the noise complaint we did have. I believe there's only been the 2 that I can recall. I'm sorry, no. 2 complaints. One was the noise, the other was the shut off. The water was shut down. They were supposed to get a notice. When I found out they didn't, I went actually right out there and talked to them, and I said, I apologize. You know, they were supposed to, but I didn't believe what had happened is the position of their house when the person was passing out the notifications for the water to be off. If you looked at where we shut the main down, their house faces the street that technically had water still. So I think it was just a mix up on the person. Well, I know it was a mix up on the person passing out the notifications. And I did say that if there was any kind of there shouldn't be any more shutdowns, but if there is, I would personally notify them myself. That was the last issue. I mean, the concrete one, My understanding was that was something that was gonna be an early pour, but not as early as it happened. They shipped the trucks at like, I don't think it was 3 in the morning, but we'll call it 4, 3 or 4, whatever, in which can't refuse it once it's there. I mean, I guess they could have refused, but it would not have been able to pour concrete that day, so.
All right, I mean, that's good. I'm glad to hear that you actually have addressed a lot of these concerns that, you know, this was obviously, as you guys know, related to a third party. So it's not like that party, I just want to be clear, that party was not, I'm not aware that they were reached out to me and complained about anything. It was a third party that had spoken to that party. So
Right.
I'm not aware that anyone's looking for any response or letter or anything like that. So I don't know what the board feels if you know, we just kind of note this now that we understand, you know, the situation. Does anybody think it warrants any kind of follow-up at all, or
I don't think so. I think you handled it, so.
I mean,
yeah,
certainly, they haven't said anything else to me, but I could certainly swing back out. I know in that original email, they had mentioned that, I guess on their part, some, I'm going to call them arborvitae, thank you. But I don't, they haven't approached me on that, so.
what is the plan for that buffer? Anything? Just, I know we have a post and rail fence that's kind of demarcate the property boundary, because there has been some encroachment there and actually on another butter too as well. So
Right.
that's where the post and rail fence was put in. Is there any plans for any kind of vegetative buffer at all like that? And
there still is some native buffer there. They do have to cut a few more trees, I believe. I'm not positive, but you know, when Ron and I were talking, I guess Eversource is out there. They might have to trim a few more trees. That's just Eversource requirements and stuff. So, you know, we obviously asked to keep those as little as possible. So there still is a little bit of buffer, but you know, a wooded buffer is, you know, where you had a sort of a forest type of thing and you cut the trees up to it. You know, they're not full down the bottom. They're kind of sparse on the bottom. So there is a little bit of a buffer there still. It's not a lot, you know. But
it's
there is
probably
something,
the deciduous trees that are remaining, or
I believe they are, yeah.
so when the leaves drop, it's probably going to be a lot more apparent.
Yeah, but I think all the leaves are high anyways, you know, but
Yeah.
you know, but I think there are some little things down there too that over the years, I think they will start popping up there, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and if you drive by there and look at it, the post and rail fence, they use the round post and the round rails, you know, compared to sort of the split post and the split, you know, type of thing. And it looks really nice, I think, you know, if you go look at the rail, you know, it's like, wow, looks good. You know,
What is it? Is it wooden painted, or is it
yeah, just natural wood right now.
okay, so we don't have to worry about painting and maintaining that, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. If you guys want to move on, you know, if anybody is, if it's important, maybe they will entertain their own request and we can consider any kind of additional buffer in the future. But it's good to know that you did have some conversations. So I'll get back to the third party personnel who had made me aware of this and just let them know the efforts that we've already taken. And I understand, Ron, you might have talked to one of them anyways.
I did see one of them while I was voting, and it was brought up, and then I kind of explained what we went through, and so they are aware of it as well.
Oh, good. Good. Well, thanks. I'm glad to hear that you handled that. It sounds like it went pretty well. So that's great. All right. That was the only other thing I had on wells 2 and 9 while we had it. So if anybody else has any questions for Peter, now's a good time. Otherwise, we might move on. All right. Anything left, Peter, that you wanted to let us know?
So the thing I'm putting down as a, you know, sort of an action item is we're going to determine the cost to compare flow versus PFAS level. Jill did text me and note that she already does have a spreadsheet of, flows and stuff like that. So it's, so we already have that, and, so it would be just kind of merging those two files to create that. So it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, you're right, because we got a table of gallons per day pumped on every day, so you could probably kind of graph those up or
Yeah.
something. Okay,
And then the other item that I had was to verify that we get a certificate of destruction when we're bringing the GAC down there for the well 4-5 stuff. And then also to verify what is being done with the discharge and that type of thing to make sure we're not extending any liability down there to any airborne distribution of that.
right.
Thank you.
And then, oh, sorry, then the other thing is we're gonna
Yeah.
just try to get a cost of that man list.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think the only other item on here, if we're done with everything else, is the distribution model. Were you prepared to talk about that, or is that a Keith thing?
That's the key thing. Yeah.
This was already discussed last meeting.
Yeah.
What was supposed to be brought up again is just where the funding's coming from. And
Okay,
then Ron's got that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we pull it out of the engineering budget itself, just work into the budget, so.
Didn't we say it the last time already?
It got tabled to this meeting,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
budget.
I think we tabled it because I think we were just looking at this ESR for the first time right at that meeting. So I think we wanted to give it a look over a little better. So it's funny that it's called a rate model, water rate, which confuses me because every time I hear water rates, I'm thinking like the financial rate. So this is really a distribution system model, right?
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe it should be referred to as that, just to avoid confusion, because when I first saw this on the agenda, I thought we were talking about another rate increase or something, and I was hoping that wasn't the case, so.
You know what, that's my bad.
That's okay. We don't want to confuse anyone else any more than we've already been happening.
No, it's not listed on the ESR like that. I just got used to water rate model.
Right. That being said, does anybody have any questions on this? I think we're looking for a vote to approve this distribution model scope of work tonight, correct?
Yes.
So moved. Coming out of the engineering budget.
Second.
All right, so that was a motion by Wolf and second by John, and that is for the record.
Yes, they are.
ESR 64,
Right, thank you.
dated August 17. Okay, so let me be more precise. So I'm moving to approve ESR 64 from Underwood Engineering, dated August 17 in the amount of $20,000 coming out of the operating engineering budget line. And it's in regard to updating the water system model in various software products, right?
Perfect.
I think it's more than one software that they're updating it in. Yeah, Water GES, GMS, and ArcGIS.
Yep. All right, so that motion was Wolf, and that was seconded by John. Any other questions, discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And for the record, I'm in favor. So that passes 4-0-0. So I think that's probably it for Underwood.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to hang around before you leave, Peter, in case there's any action items that you might be part of?
Yep.
I think that's next. We can go back down to that. And I think what we're on number 46, I think.
Correct.
All right, yeah, so I think that event policy, I guess we're gonna kind of find out where Kerry stands on that when she comes back. Number 47, review SDC calculation metrics. That's going to be discussed at the September 28th work session. Same thing with number 49, chemical control, in corrosion control and chemical feed.
Quick comment on that, on those two
Sure.
dates, just so you know, I am leaving the country on 9/26. So by the time that we meet for the work session, it's gonna be pretty late for me because I'm on German time at the time. And the same is true for our upcoming meeting next month. But the October meeting, since we start only at 5 o'clock, that's 11 PM over there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be for the next board.
Okay.
Right. So the work session is not quite as bad because I think we started a little bit earlier. But I'm 6 hours behind. Actually, 6 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead. Pretty much for the next 3 weeks. So it's gonna be for the next 4 weeks. It's gonna be. I may or may not be able to attend those meetings until the end.
Yeah, and I think that the important one or the priority in my mind was number 61, which is the addendum to the source alternatives evaluation. I think we were hoping on considering or discussing moving forward with some of those, as well
Yeah.
as the potential for the next 3-year wholesale agreement with Pennachuck to kind of bridge the gap over, if we decide to pursue whatever new source alternative we decide to pursue, is probably going to be a couple to at least 2-year project to come to fruition. So I kind of think in the meantime, we might need to have some kind of an interim bridge over those couple years with a wholesale agreement for 250,000 gallons a day with a peak of 500,000 a day. So I don't know that we're going to be voting on that necessarily, but I know Keith is saying we got to move on that if we want to have it available to us. It's going to be critical next summer, I think. So is that, would it help if we move the time up at all, or I
I'll be
don't?
there for the 9/28 session. That's fine because I think that starts earlier, right? Doesn't it start before?
I think 4, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So you'll be at like what, 10 PM?
I'll manage. I'm just gonna keep the camera off so you don't see me drinking.
Coffee.
Nice.
Coffee. Nice save.
Of course. All right, so we're jumping around. Back on number 52, Brendan Kernan presenting the results of PFPRA. I think, Ron, at the last meeting, you were going to try to call him and see if there's anything worth him discussing or anything, or
I haven't done that yet. I will do that this week. I will make a note and I will get that done.
okay. I don't know if the board's looking for any information more than we've already gotten off this. Is probably just to find out the variation in the results, like what does that really mean? Other than that, I don't think he needs to do a presentation to discuss that with us, but number 55, looks like we're going to be discussing that during December, the review of the sick pay time off. Number 56, organize a work session. That's going to be on 9/28. Number 57 as well. I don't know if we'll be able to cover all of those on 9/28, but I think we're going to try. Number 58, you've already got those graphs that were presented in the packet. And those minerals, actually, a couple of the graphs look like we had some spikes in iron at well 2, but they kind of seem to go away. So I don't know how critical and persistent that's going to be, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. I don't know if anybody else saw that. Hopefully it doesn't become an issue at well 2. Any other questions on that at all, or if not, then number 59, proactive measures to track and correlate customer complaints, water quality complaints with discoloration. I don't know if we need to discuss anything we need to do with that, or
Working
Last-
with the software right now.
right.
There's gonna be things that are coded, so it's just, we're not there yet.
Do we want to
Okay.
add that maybe as a comment and maybe just put it out to like, December or something, so we don't keep talking about it?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's a good
Add
point.
a comment and, like we did with the other ones in bold and italic, and just basically say, staff working on implementing in new software or something like that, new business software. And then moving it out to December.
Can we also go back and change number 58 for the date March complete? Says the report to be given in August. Change that to November.
Sure. Well, actually, he gave it to us in September. Do we want to make it 3 months later or, which would be December? I don't know. I think he's contracted to do these quarterly or something anyways, isn't he? So, yeah, I don't care, whatever you guys want to make it November.
I've heard December.
Well, it's just because we're typically we'll do them in October and I'll get them, so I won't have them for October, but I'll have them ready for November. It takes a couple weeks to get them back.
All right, if you think November we'll have them ready, then fine. If not, we'll push it off to December, but that's a good idea to say, keep it for November or change it to November. All right, I think the next one was number 60 with the NSF approval with Lou Niles. Any additional follow-up on that one?
Originally, he said it is NSF approved. I'll give him a call this week as well. It starts a flow of,
Sounds good.
yeah. There's a bunch of sales pitches with it, so, but I will. I mean,
obviously, it's a cost to get a product approved NSF 61. So if that cost was incurred, there should be a record and a certificate.
Yep,
That-
no, he absolutely said it was, so.
Yeah.
Go
I mean, I'm surprised I don't know why he wouldn't have sent that certificate out to everyone he's ever done business with, because like getting NSF 61 approval is huge. So.
I'm wondering if because there's other zeolite out there.
Right.
I'm wondering if he's just saying it's a kind of it's kind of a blanket thing, but I don't know that, so.
Yeah, my understanding, I thought, is that, and I don't know if Peter, if you have a comment on this, but NSF 61 is specific to each manufacturer.
Yeah, they have to get a approval themselves, but yeah, it's the NSF 61, it's just for use of potable water.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't we
All
have
right.
Underwood reach out to him?
Compare engineers to talk to.
I mean,
Well, just to get it done and to, keep your plate off.
I'll shoot.
So,
I mean, is there a way to verify is somebody certified? Is there like a business bureau kind of idea where you can go online and check on the company and see if they're certified?
There is. NSF has its own website and they list
All right.
it's like pages and pages long, and you got to search for it through, there's different categories in there, but it should be in there. I mean, I have to check vendors' products that in my business, and so I'm familiar with that website, and I haven't actually looked and see if it's on there, but next time I have a chance, maybe I will. But he ought to be able to provide a certificate that lists his company in the product as being NSF approved. So some kind of evidence of that. All right, yeah. So you want to follow up with that, Ron? Then
I will.
okay. 61 we're covering in the September 28 work session, so that just leaves 62 and 63. 62 being a risk analysis about means to bypass a defective VFD. I think that was added on at the last meeting. I'm not sure who is going to be looking into that. Sounds like maybe an Underwood thing, maybe.
Peter and I did talk about this, and I guess there is a way. It's an across the line. Am I saying that right, Pete? Across the
Yeah,
line.
so this, I'm not, so the person that designed the 7-8 project was not the same one that has designed electrically that is, designed the well 4.5, the well 7.8 addition, and the well 2.9 project. And the way he does his VFDs, he has a bypass on those, and he has actually a soft start bypass going by the VFD. So I assume that there's also a bypass on the VFDs that were some, provided for the 7.8 project, and either they are a soft start, or at worst they're across the line starter. So I'd have to look at, look into that, into the shop drawings and stuff like that, but there should be a bypass on those. So if you did lose that high lift pump, there should be a way to start that. And if you did do that, you'd probably, obviously not want, if it is an across, so the soft, just to explain, is a soft start will actually slowly ramp up your pump to a certain speed and then slowly ramp it back down again. Prevents water hammer and that type of thing. An across the line starter is it comes on, goes boom, and then all of a sudden, if you were supposed to be pumping, 700 gallons a minute, it goes from 0 to 700 in a second and just comes on. Gives you some hammer and that type of thing. So if it is a cross the line starter, you probably want to limit that start stop as much as possible to prevent water hammer. The other thing that you can do with that is you can close a valve on the or throttle a valve on the end of that to prevent hammer. But I believe you also have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, isn't there a surge relief valve that will come off of that and discharge back into the clear well if you have a hammer on there?
I believe there is, yes.
Yeah, so if you do have that, that
Okay.
might be a better thing to do is, if you're gonna have to use that across the line, maybe you take the set screw on that and just decrease the pressure a little bit, so that will blow off a little bit, a little earlier if you have to do that. But if it's a soft start, you should have absolutely no problem coming up to speed on that. The thing that you lose is, you have to manually change your speed of your VFD, so I'm sorry, not the speed of your VFD, but just the speed of the pump. Because the VFD is, you can program that such that it controls speed based on clear well level or tank level or that type of thing. But if you're on the bypass and it's either a soft start or across the line, then you got to manually adjust the speed that you're running at. So
I don't want to go too much into the weeds, but
Yeah.
I do question some of that, because a soft start doesn't do like over several second, like a ramp up or something. It's not a VFD. It's a relay. The only thing it does, it prevents the inrush, right? The inrush current on the coil. That's all it does.
yeah,
So it still fires up the motor pretty much to full speed right away, but it prevents that initial short circuit that an electric motor has, right? So
the way he does his soft start, it does have a ramp up speed.
okay.
I believe so.
But even so, there would have been some kind of rewiring that bypasses, or he has to have a switch, and staff needs to know how to operate that switch, right? Either you have to literally bypass the VFD, which means moving wires from one terminal to another, and those are
That
pretty
was
big
actually
wires.
it's
Or
a
there's a
switch right on. It's a switch right on the VFD, and
There
they
is.
did have that at the 4.5 one, and there's a little switch on there that you can go to the bypass right there.
And again, the only reason why I'm making a fuss about that is if a VFD fails, right? And we apparently have no spares, right? And we are looking at 10 months lead time here for the one for well 2 right now, right? Altogether, we don't even know if it's going to be 10
Yeah.
months again. So I'm just saying that there's a good chance that in a pickle, we have to find a solution within a day or two to get that pump running, right?
Right.
And the next question I have is, can we even mechanically allow for a pump to be basically just spin up to nominal motor speed, right? Or is the mechanical stress on the shaft and the pump wheel, whatever it's called, impeller, propeller, is that even permissible, right? I don't know that, right? So a motor starter, even a soft starter, is gonna still, it's not a VFD that slowly ramps up over time to the desired revolution. And again, the concern I have is if we have no spares and we have no answer to all of these questions, that could mean we lose an unknown number of days, weeks, until somebody that may or may not be on vacation right now, or even still employed with the original, engineering company, give us the instructions that we need to get that well up and running. And well 2 is one of our biggest wells.
Well, that
Right.
wouldn't be on well too. I think that was on, I believe it's the Ron, isn't the well VFD you're talking about is one of the high lift pumps at the original 7 and 8 project?
Well, I think it was just a VFD general.
It's really every well out there.
So 7 and 8, we are down at VFD right now, but we
Mhm.
run in parallel. So we have, there's two VFDs there, 2 separate motors, one, and I don't remember which motor it is now off the top of my head. I think it's one, but the VFD did go, but from what I read, and I believe it was when we were looking at well 2 specs, and I know the soft start came up, and from what I was reading, you did not need a soft start for a VFD. You can do across the line.
Yeah, the VFD acts in lieu of the soft start.
Right,
Right.
so I mean, we can, and there's surge protectors like he was saying, at least over there. So I can find out those.
Yeah, the surge protectors wouldn't do anything about that.
Start up. Once we start it up, we'll probably leave that one running and work off of, if we came to that, we wouldn't alternate motors. We would leave the one running if we had to bypass it. And then it was probably gonna have to run at least over at 7-8 would be a little bit more attention to the speeds. So in other words, I know that this one, when Clearwell gets to a certain height, it actually reduces the speed. The VFD will actually ramp down and pump less water until it catches back up. So we may have to do that manually. So at least at 7-8 is a little bit more involved. Our wells 2, 3, 4 and 5, we just, with the new treatment plants, when we went with the VFDs, we always had soft starts before. So.
So I guess I was gonna say, I would make a recommendation, maybe we want to have like a procedure planned out for this. That's kind of where I think it's going,
That's what
idea.
I agree. That's
So,
kind of what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, so with I'm just looking at the drawings now for the well 2-9 project, and we do have a soft start bypass on that. And I do remember when we did the training out at the 4-5 project, I remember, the guy with the VFDs was talking about a bypass on those. So when they do the training out here, for, if they don't recall what that was, or you have new personnel, there will be some training on that for the 2-9 project to how to go to the bypass on that.
It'd be good to make sure there was a section in the O&M manuals in all our pump stations that kind of explain that, because
Okay.
it might be a little bit different at wells 4 and 5 than it is at 7 and 8, that type of thing. So I think if it's addressed there, and if that's part of the training, to make sure that the operator understands what procedure would be used in order to make that happen if we did lose a VFD. My understanding, just to answer your question, Wolf, is a pumps are made to run at 60 hertz. As far as I know, in the water field, there's most of the pumps out there, half of them don't have VFDs on them at all, and they do run across a line start. So they're either on 60 hertz full speed or they're off. That being said, I think we have 2 different situations. If it's a well pump that's pumping through treatment, that may cause a possible overpressure or overflow. The flow rate might be too much at 60 hertz. So I don't know how we would modulate that if we lost the VFD on a well pump. But a VFD that pumps, like the high lift pump that pumps directly from the clear well into the distribution system,
Right.
probably is not a big deal, because the distribution system, that's got atmospheric storage on it. So it'll just end up filling up the tank faster or something, right? But
Yeah.
that can be manually turned on and turned off, I don't think with a big problem, but so in the procedure, we should probably talk about the difference between the well pumps that pump water through treatment to make sure we don't over pressurize. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Peter, if you agree.
Yeah, no, and I'll talk to our electrical engineer and just get his feedback, and I'll come back to the next meeting and just update you on what he says. But we will
Okay.
add something to the O&M manuals on that electrical section.
Thank you.
Good. All right, so if there's no more questions on that one, the last action item, number 63, is add backflush dates to the PFAS trend charts, which I believe was done.
Yeah, so there's a footnote on the charts on when that would be, because if we add a little note to the chart itself, every time we add months to it, it kind of shifts a little bit, and you gotta keep shifting the label. So if you look on, it's a footnote on the drawings or the graphs. And right now it only notes 2 backwashes, because that's all we had at the time when these samples were taken. So just trying to find the graph on that.
Well, actually, there's another graph you guys have of MVD 7 and 8 water treatment plant vessel 1 differential pressure. And that
Yep, we
clearly
have that.
shows, how it increases and then you backwash and then steps down, then it increases again. So that's a pretty obvious,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you could put a footnote or something on there for the.
Yeah,
exact-
so there is a note on the bottom. I'm trying to find the right graph. I think I threw all this stuff together. Oh, here we go. So if you look under your 7, 8 graphs that were given to you, if you look on the second page and you look at like note number 5 at the bottom, it says backwash dates 6/9/22 and 7/21/22. You see that?
Is this on the graphs you're talking about?
Yeah, if you look under you go to the 7, 8 graphs. And then look on the page 2 there of that, and note 5.
Oh, yeah.
So then we'll add the other date, that because they did do it again in August. So we'll add that date to the next round of samples coming in.
That's good.
Okay.
All right, is that good with everybody?
Yep.
Okay. So that was it. What did we add for one action item tonight? Okay, and that was.
Oops, sorry, let me see. I wrote it down.
That was something related for Peter, I think.
Yeah, I think that was the certification of destruction and at the
Yep.
plant, I believe that was, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Dawn, did you want me to cross off the last
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Yeah, I think we can,
And-
right, guys? Number 63, we just, that can go.
Number 64, would you like me to change that to add to create the procedure?
Yeah,
Please.
Okay. Perfect.
that was replacing number 62. Is that the one you're talking
Yeah,
about?
I'm sorry. Number 62, to change that to be creating a procedure for that.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm good with that. Thanks.
And then I know that, I know you went by it already, but action item 40 about the open house, do you need any assistance from us for that
It'll be next year.
next year? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We can help you
Okay.
next year.
Anything else, Peter? Any other questions before we let them go? All right, I think we're good.
All right, great. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, so wrapping this up, we're on to old business. Anybody have any old business to bring up? Seeing none.
Actually,
Oh,
I
go
do,
ahead.
yeah, quick. And you may have that in the superintendent's report, but we haven't heard in a while about the operations manager and the open positions,
Oh, I can actually, we are
unless I missed it.
all full up.
All full up.
We've hired operations manager. We've actually, Brian stepped up to that position. We hired a foreman and a field tech as well. And I'm gonna ask, thank you.
Whoa.
Last name off the top of my head.
For the record, there was a thunderstorm. There was a thunderstorm out there.
Oh, that's what that was.
We are actually currently at full staff.
Okay,
Full staff.
good. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, any other old business? The only other thing I wanted to bring up, just real quick, I know we spoke about it at the last meeting, and I believe it's been corrected, is the format of the water bills all reporting one usage number. Jill, did you find how to correct that? I think some new bills are coming out.
Amy did it. She actually came to me last week and she'd finally worked it out with CSI that it would show up up to 3,000 over with different rates and the usage, so that's all been fixed. And
Okay,
there was also multi-units, so if you had a duplex, then it's combined, you would have to have 6,000 and over would be at the new rate because there's 2 units. So she had all these multi-units to go through and correct, so that's all done now.
So unless you change it, if you're not over the 3,000 cubic feet, you're not gonna see the two different,
Right.
the two different rates. There will only be if you go over that, then you'll see it broken out.
right. Okay,
Do we have some process in place that raises a flag for you guys when bills change drastically? We talked about it before, right?
High reads thing.
Right.
Amy goes through, and she's got a whole process of from here to here, if there's high reads or whatever, she'll look back at their history and see if it was like the same as last year, if it's a seasonal fluctuation or, so that's all monitored.
But what happens if something comes up flagged, right, with a huge increase? Are we doing something proactively about it, approaching like the customer? The reason I'm asking is I had a lot of fun over the weekend again with our favorite social media tool, PR tool out there. And
You should really see somebody about that.
I know. Spend some time with your family.
well,
it's the only response, so.
every time I address it, it dies down, right? Every time and the work that we do here, is affected by that, right? I mean, I really don't want to be in a position where I constantly have to justify what we're doing. So,
But if there is a high read or something like that, we do investigate it. So if it means, well, reread. See if, if it's a resident, it could be a leaky toilet or something like that, we do reach out.
Well, there was one customer that said their bill has been $95 and all of a sudden it was $871. So if they didn't get flagged, there's something wrong.
That's a big jump.
yeah, there was somebody else. It was like two customers that,
Right.
but this one person for sure, yeah.
Do you know the address? We can.
I can say it outside of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
I don't think we know the address, but we know a name, right? So.
I mean, obviously, the response typically is check your meter, see if it's spinning when no one's using water. Oh, that's a question I had. The meter I have in my house has a little triangle that spins whenever someone's using even just a small amount of water.
Yep.
Are all of our water meters that way as well? Do you know?
I believe they all have some sort of flow indicator on them, but Let me verify that, Dawn, because I'm not 100% on the Badger. We do have some Badger meters that we're currently purchasing, so. I
Home,
believe,
for in-home usage?
yes, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you've probably got an older meter that you can't get anymore. So if it needs to be replaced, we actually go with a Badger.
How does that work? I mean, you know, like my house was built in 78. I mean, how often do you go around and change the meters, or do you guys even like inspect the meters after a certain amount of time?
So there is a meter program that we need to get back onto, but yes, but what we were doing is it's a 10-year meter exchange program for residential. We would go out with meters that we have tested, that we know are accurate. Those would get put back into service. Yours would come out and get tested. If it's no good, it gets discarded, and then it would already have been replaced. And it could be with an AMCO that had been tested fine. That would go back out to the system. So
And that's at no charge to the customer, right? If we do that.
no
Even
charge.
if we have to physically replace it, there's no charge for the customer.
Right. The only time the customer would get charged if it was a frozen meter or damage to the meter. Then
So that's what our meter fees cover, basically, right?
Right.
correct. Yes.
And you said you're gonna have to go back to it. Why did we leave it? Was it just,
Just staffing and all of that. It's just kind of gotten we didn't get away from it. It just, we need to get back kind of full bore with the program. We've been doing it. It needs to really pick back up again, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I thought those meters, they just automatically get replaced. They're on the list, the tickler, and you know, when it hits a certain age, a certain meter, staff goes out there and pull. I definitely saw it happen in my old house. I don't remember if it happened in my new house or not, but I definitely seen that happen. That's what should happen.
Right. We were doing them, so back when they were originally installed, it kind of went in all at one. It was like over a year, the whole town got changed out. So we've been kind of trying to do it by neighborhoods and that, but for the most part, yeah, we need to get back out and kind of really hit it hard again to it's not that it's not happening. It's just we need to do more of what we've been doing. We need to get back into the program.
I think with our robust asset management procedure and software that we're instituting, we should probably be able to track, you know, every time a new customer gets a meter, maybe that customer is a tickler. So whatever the meter life is, 8, 10, 12 years, that it's on the list to get replaced or something. And, you know,
Yep,
at least that's what I was understanding.
Yeah, no, any new construction gets a new meter. They're not getting a rebuild, but yes, those are in there.
Right, but I'm saying is after they get the new meter, we should have somewhere that we go back in 10 years from that date and replace it, you know?
We can do that at any time with the billing, so it's already recorded in the billing software, and Amy can pull up a report at any time saying, give me a date range.
All right, so at least if we can track that, I mean, it seems like we need to track meter age in order to know when we need to replace those meters, right? Because they do, and maybe that's what we're seeing. Maybe some of the meters are so far off. I hate to say that, but there's other people who are saying they're paying like $50 a quarter. I mean, I don't know how much the fixed rate charges are in there, but that means they're using like no water. That doesn't make sense either. So, you know, anyways, that's all I had on this. I don't know if anybody else has any more, but where are we on? New business, I think. Are we already there? All right. Any new business for anybody to present? Seeing none, I guess we'll move on to superintendent's report.
Just a couple things. The CIP discussion with the town that has been moved to October 18th. Town council meeting, or try that again, planning board meeting, October 18th, and then the town Salt policy is going to be on the 13th, and then they bring it to the town council to review. Tomorrow, we're going to be sampling for PFAS in all of the stations, not system, but in the wells themselves. And then lastly, I just want to remind everybody that I'm going to be on vacation, starting on the notification the 26th through the 11th.
Did we approve that?
Did we approve that? Did that letter, I just remembered that, pardon me. That letter to the Conservation Committee and the Town Council and the Planning Board, did that ever go out?
I thought we
Thought it did.
I think you were actually waiting for me, to be honest.
held off on that.
I think you were waiting for me. So, okay, that goes to me. Guess what I'll do on my 8 flight over to your 8-hour flight over to you.
Still,
I would still address it, yeah. I would definitely still address it. It was about pretty much all of those committees remembering at the very end of the conversation that MVD has a big say and a big concern about ice melters and some misconceptions about ice melters as well and how they affect our groundwater. So we definitely want to address that.
I will say, on the last planning board that I saw on channel 20, they were talking about the development that's going in at the by the Jade down there by Tractor Supply. There's a couple of residential condominiums or something going in there. And Nelson Disco on a planning board did mention that that is in the Aquifer Protection District, and the engineer confirmed it would be subject to no salt being used on that. So they definitely understand, at least, you know, the planning board does, that that's their purview to put those notes and those restrictions on new properties in the Aquifer Protection Zone. So that's good to know.
Make sure where that's going.
Is that something?
can I follow up on, so Brian and I had gone to, we have monthly meetings with town staff as well about the different projects in town. And one of the things that I brought to Robert's attention is that in the past, these contractors, before they would go to like community development or to plan these projects, would actually come to the district. And we would go over with them and kind of let them know what we were looking for, and that kind of stopped. And it's been kind of coming through us through community development. So I expressed that I'd like to have that kind of go back, and it's starting to happen already. So that was one of the things that was put on for the Twin Bridge project, that they need to meet with us first to kind of go over, you know, the project and, you know, if they're going to request a third party review, that kind of stuff. So we're actually trying to get a date now to meet for that project. So we're kind of, hopefully, we're going to get back to where we used to, again, meet prior to these projects moving forward, so we can give our input before they go through a budget design.
Thank you.
Right. Just the one thing I wanted to mention, I since you didn't mention it, and maybe it already happened, I can't remember, but when is the town-wide meter reading? Is that happening in the end of September, or did that already happen last month?
That'll happen next week.
Right, so it's gonna be the end of the third quarter. Everybody's gonna be read, the whole system, all of our customers, right?
Yes,
And then everybody's gonna get a bill in October for either 1, 2, or 3 months. That's like the way we did it in the past?
that's what we've done in the past, but we're trying to work on, and we believe we can do it. And I don't know if she's still working on it. What I'd like to do is bill, use it as a balance, only bill when they're being billed for their normal quarter.
Yeah.
I think it would alleviate a lot of questions, a lot of confusion. So that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, and that's why I'm asking, because that's why I was wondering if people were already getting partial bills already, and I didn't think they were.
They shouldn't be, no.
Because the variation in the rates, some people are paying $800, some people are paying $50. I was thinking, all right, maybe one guy's only paying for 1 month, the other one's
Got a
paying
bill
3.
the other day for October.
And even the low, we get notified, we should be able to, we get red flags for real low reads as well, so I'm, if you have that one too, I'd like to kind of look into that, because it doesn't make sense to me, but
Yeah,
they're not reading it here.
so that was good. I was gonna ask you, with the new accounting software,
Back from that month.
if we are able to keep people on their regular quarterly bill, even with the rate increase, because it's just opens up tons and tons of confusion. People get a bill that's 1/3 of their regular bill, and then they get another bill that's 2 months later, and I already paid this. No, it's a different bill. And we went through it all last year, and if we can avoid that, it would just
Yeah,
make everyone's life on your end easier, I'm sure.
absolutely, that's what we're trying to, hopefully we can still do that, but.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're looking into that. Makes a lot of sense. All right, any other superintendent report items? If not, I don't know if there's anybody press and public that are shown on the Zoom screen.
No,
All right. Then just make an announcement. The next meeting is scheduled for October 17th, 2022. And if there's no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by John, second by Ken. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye, I'm in favor as well. That's 400. Thanks, Merrimack TV. We'll see everybody next month.